Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and I keep on saying Full Quota, but anyway, South African Cricket Podcast. I've got Tim Delays here with me. It's tough for me to let it go, Tim, but how are you doing?
All right, but all right. It's okay. Some good things are hard to let go.
I know some good things are hard to let go, but the South African Cricket Podcast is also a good thing. And the reason why it's a good thing is that we follow all South African cricket. Not like that we didn't do it before under a different name, but we've rebranded. And so, yeah, to our friends, Otto, who probably will be watching this game, this show, not a game. Please follow us at SA Cricket Pod on X. Subscribe to the South African Cricket Podcast YouTube channel. Also, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please search for South African Cricket Podcast. And also, you can help us buy some coffee. There's QR codes on your screens. If you're watching on YouTube, you will have two. If you're watching on any other platform, X, you'll have one where Tim's head is. And you can click on that to direct you to our website at buymeacoffee.com/cricket podcast. It's helped us rebrand. It's helped us cover a lot more, and we are excited for this year. It is the end of the season, but yeah, we're getting there. And also you can email us at sacricketpod@gmail.com. Now, with all the formalities done, it's been a tough week. It's been an interesting week. It's been an exciting week for South African cricket. One, you've got the men in the World Cup, the T20 World Cup, Tim. And then on the other side, you've got the women who are preparing for their own T20 World Cup later in the year in Thingy. And we're seeing good things, good signs. And I want to start with the first good sign, which is the Proteas Men at the World Cup. They played their first game against Canada. Was it Canada? Yes, it was Canada, because I kept on saying, "Oh, Canada, our home and native land." And they obviously did well. It was a little bit of a disappointment, Tim. I think we would have wanted the boys to have dominated them a little bit more, but beggars can't be choosers. A 57-run win against Canada. We're one of the only few teams to score 200 runs in this tournament. Markram with a 59, Quinton 25 of 22, Ricks 33 of 21, Miller 39 of 23, and Tristan Stubbs 34 of 19. And from a birding perspective, Ngidi took 4 wickets, Marco 2, Kagiso 1, and Corbin 1. In that first game, are there any thoughts in that first game? Because I kind of felt like the batting is coming along very nicely, and it's really good to see that Lungi is getting into the wickets very early in the tournament. I think he's the leading wicket taker in this tournament, and he's done really well. And yes, it is Canada, but we applied ourselves like professionals and we got out there. Yes, we would have wanted to have blown them away, but blowing them out for 156 when they needed to chase 213 was a good thing.
Yeah, no, it was. Look, it was a efficient job. We got the job done. We got what we needed. It was pleasing that, for me, I was less concerned about the bowling. What I wanted was contributions from everybody in the batting department, even with Canada, because runs are important and they're going to be important later on in the tournament when we face stiffer opposition. So I was very happy from a batting perspective. I was happy with the approach. I was happy that we were continually looking to put pressure on Canada, and we didn't seem to get into a comfort mode of this is enough. The more we saw a new batter come in, it was the same approach of getting as many runs as we can quickly, putting pressure on Canada, and playing it in an attacking fashion, rather than doing it waiting to the back end. So, the last 3 or 4 overs, trying to go big back then, which is what was the case when we had Rob Walter.
Yes. And
so very happy.
Don't leave him out.
And Mark. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, let's take a step back in that game. Obviously, we went with the result and we spoke about the result, but let's take a step back in terms of the beginning, the selection, right? There were a couple of questions around selection. Obviously, the Jason Smith, Tristan Stubbs little access. Also, the David Miller, is he fit enough to play? Question. Also, the other question was from a bowling perspective, what do you do with Anuk Nokia and Corbin Bosch, who, all intents and purposes have put their hands up, and then the George Linder question. And I think you wanted to go with a strong 11, and I think we went with our strongest 11. Anuk Nokia did play in that game. Was it Corbin Bosch or Nokia? It was Bosch. It was Bosch. Bosch played in that game. And Nokia didn't. Tristan Stubbs was selected over Jason Smith, and we kind of saw why. And every time they keep on selecting Tristan Stubbs, it's kind of like he's gotten the message. He was embarrassed throughout SA20 that he wasn't in the team. And ever since he was not announced in the team, he's kind of shut the door. And he's gone back to the Tristan Stubbs of old, which is what we like. It's very fascinating what motivates players, right? And I think embarrassment is also another one that motivates players more. What did you make of the 11 when it was announced against Canada?
I'm glad it was the 11 that he chose, because I didn't think, to be fair, game one we would go, it's Canada. Let's give the fringe guys a go at the start, and then as the tournament goes on, pick up best 11. Because when you do that, not necessarily that we were going to, but there have been instances where we've done that and we've come a cropper and we've added pressure later on in the tournament for ourselves. So I'm glad he went in for the strongest 11. It's important. Get the wins in, qualify first. Then, once you've qualified, once you know where you are and who you're going to face in the next stage, then you can think about bringing in the fringe players. So happy with the approach, happy with the selections. I think I did say, I can't remember. You'd have to look into the archives. I thought he might have played Jason, just at the fact that Jason's form. But he's gone with the experience, and the experience has paid off. There's no doubt about it. Picking the experienced fellow has definitely paid off in both games.
No, it has. And speaking to the one issue for me in this whole thing was Anuk Nokia. He's looked off color. He's been of the 15 players that we've taken to the World Cup. He is probably the one I am most worried about. The guy I'm next most worried about is George Linder. But George Linder's crime per se is the fact that he doesn't get a lot of game time. Nokia does. He's played the entire West Indies series. He's also played SA20, and somehow it looks like he's a tired man on the back end of the season, and he's now a little less accurate. And in this format, if you're just a little less accurate, you're going to go for runs. And the eye test tells you what you see on the scorecard, right? It's just not there. It's not a guy being attacked in the back end of the overs. It's not a guy just being attacked in the power play. It's a guy who is way off form compared to his peers. And one of those peers is a guy that everyone thought was being taken there as some sort of a internship in Gwena Mapaka. And Gwena's even outperforming him with the ball. How worried are you if we really need to go into Nokia? I know the commentators really love bringing him up. Cass brings him up every game. Like even when the bowlers, like in the Afghanistan game, when we couldn't get it right in that power play, she mentioned him like 3 times. And I'm like, dude, anybody who's anybody will know that this guy shouldn't be playing either way. And we'd be in a worse of a hole. But yeah, your thoughts on Anuk Nokia? Because I'm worried.
I am worried if he's gonna just bowl 145 and do nothing else. I am worried. I wasn't worried prior to the World Cup because he came into this World Cup red hot form. bowling really well, really accurately, with subtle changes, with slow balls, and those subtle changes which you are going to need on those Asian pitches seem to have gone out the window. He seems to have just gone, I'm going to trust my pace and get the wickets. You can't do that on some of those pitches. You can do that on some of them, but some of them, when you look at the dimensions of the grounds, all the batsmen, a good batsman is going to go, okay, that side of the field, the short leg side field, that's where I'm going to go. And every time Nokia goes back of a length, it's going to go cow corner or mid-wicket for 6. So he's just lining himself for punishment at the moment. I am a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried in general, if I'm honest, in terms of the pace department. You know that I don't think, well, I know for a fact that this is not KG's best format. I'm not even talking, we will talk about what happened at the final. I'm not even talking about what happened at the final. This is not his best format. He just does what Nokia does slightly slower. And because he does it slightly slower, it's a tiny bit more effective. So I'm a little bit worried. I'm not worried. Cool. Yes, you're right about George. George is because of lack of game time. George is still going to get wickets. Yes, they're making a point where we're going to have to rely on Aiden bowling 4 overs every game. Sure. They're making a point when that's gonna happen.
So let's actually go to that. Let's go to that Afghanistan game. Like, what was that? What was that? Like, the only thing I'm happy about in that game, and if you were living under a rock, South Africa played Afghanistan. They scored 187. They tied the game because somehow, some way, But anyway, KG, like, let's go through the final sequence actually, right? So Afghanistan restricted South Africa 187. We had a 113-run partnership with Rickleton and de Kock, right? And about over 11 or 12, we were 120 onwards. So 200, 190, 200 was on the cards, even 210. There was a loss of wickets in that consolidation period, the back end of the consolidation period. I hate how the ICC is now breaking up the innings like we're kids, as they call it. And it kind of stopped us in the acceleration and the finish, whatever they call it. Now, we got to 187, not because we were in control. We were spiraling out of control from a batting perspective. I don't think we were in there. Marco came in and he had some lusty blows, but that last over, the last few overs, I was not happy with our batting. But anyway, cool. And to talk about the scorecard, 59 of 41 from de Kock, 61 of 28 for Rickleton, who batted really well. Brevis 23 of 19, Miller 20 of 15, and Janssen 16 of 7. Tristan Stubbs got 1 of 2, right? Bowling wise, in the defense, Afghanistan went off to a flyer. They were 51 without loss very quickly in the power play, and it was problematic. We couldn't buy a wicket. We were buying them a lot of runs, freebies, and speaks to that whole thing Tim was talking about, our fast bowlers. But anyway, they brought it back. They restricted them. They brought it back to a point where now South Africa was in control at 139 for 6. There was a rear guard action that happened, Omar Zai, Rashid Khan, Mujib, and we had them at 175 for 9 when the last wicket fell, when the 10th, number 11 walked in. That was Faizalak Faruqi. Needing 13 to win in that last over, Afghanistan. Kagiso was handed the ball. Takes a wicket. And it was a no ball. And then proceeded to concede boundary after boundary after boundary, to the point where Afghanistan needed 2 of 3. And now, here's the fun part, right? So 2 of 3, I'm sitting there going, oh snap, we're going to super over. Because there's no way in my head the Afghanistan guys can actually miss the ball and run and they would get it twice. But somehow, someway, they decided to go for a second run and the ball came in to Kagiso at the non-striker's end and he breaks the stumps and it's a run out. And so now Afghanistan have no one else to come in and it's a tie. Goes to the first super over. Lungingiti, who's been our best bowler throughout the day. I'll just give you his. He took 3 for 26, leading run scored, wicket taker in the tournament. He also went at an economy rate of 6.5. Listen to the economy rates. Mark Jansen 10.5, Kagiso Rabada 10.3, George Linder 13, Keshav Maharaj, well done Kesh, 6.75, and then Aiden Markram 14. Now, Lungi goes for 17 runs in this power play, in the super over. Just bleeding sixes everywhere and fours. It's like a tap. It's like our fast bowlers, like when they bowl, like just the tap opens. It's like, ugh, they just vomit over the place, all over the place. Now, normally, if you need to chase anything above 11 in a super over, good luck. Let alone 18 to win. But anyway, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to tell you guys after we've lost and try to do the calculations and the permutations of net run rate. And then you're like, okay, who's coming through? And it was Miller, it was Stubbs, and it was Brevis. But it was Miller and Brevis first. Brevis hits a beautiful 6, gets out next ball. Stubbs comes in. Him and Miller rotate the strike a bit, but then we need lusty blows. We need 6 to tie the super over. We needed 7 to win off the last ball, 6 to tie. Low full toss, Tristan Stubbs clubs this thing, and it just gets over the fielder there and the boundary at long off. Now, the rules of the power play are that the team that is batting in there, of the super over, the team that's still batting in there, will continue to bat because you don't want to waste time in people changing over. So, red hot Stubbs. The only difference in this next power play is that Brevis come back because he's out. And Afghanistan must pick another bowler. Sharp. Rashid Khan decides to hide. I don't know why, but he hit. And I don't know who they gave us. It wasn't Faruqi anymore. Was it Omarzai? I think so. And that in that second power play. Doesn't matter. Stubbs and Miller proceed to club 24. 24 runs. It was beautiful. Was it 24? Yes, it was 24 because there was a no ball check and 23. 2 sixes in a row. 23.
It was 23, and they had to get 24.
Yes. And so now I'm sitting there going, they need to get 24. We've won this game. This is in the bag. Fine. Aiden throws the ball to Keshav. So I'm like, okay, so Aiden's playing mathematics here. He's like, we're going economy rate here. So Lungi was the best. Then the next best economy rate was Kesh. So we're all sitting here going, oh snap, it's a spin ball. Oh my word. And these Indian grounds are susceptible to. Ahmedabad's a large Indian ground, but a little bit behind square, you can score if you like cut the ball. And like 70 meters, modern batsmen these days get over the line. Fine. Cool. Kesh gets a wicket. He goes top ball wicket. Yes. Everyone in South Africa is calm. We are happy. We are easy. He proceeds to concede 666, like he's the devil's child. And so we all are sitting there going, they need 6 runs to win, not tie, win. And yeah, okay. Kesh, what's going on? Kesh talks to Aiden, and their plan was he must bowl it wide. That was their plan. He must bowl it wide. And the umpire goes, wide. So I was sitting there going, oh shit, okay. Just
now we need a boundary.
And then they persist with the wide. And I don't know if it was Gobaz. I think it was Gobaz. He decides to cut the ball to behind square, which is the shortest boundary, right? And somehow David Miller was standing there and we win the game. But we didn't need to do this. Afghanistan had 4 chances to kill us. You can't give Afghanistan that many chances to kill you. However, the other side of this is if in previous editions of any World Cup, We lose those games. We are embarrassed, and we come back home with our tails between our legs because we didn't make the Super 8. So the good thing is we got out of here. The mental toughness, all that thing, the boys stuck it through. The bad thing is, and let's talk about the bad things, Tim, for the next 10 minutes. What the hell was going on?
Yeah, okay. So I'll go through it. We should have won the game in normal time. Let's just put that. That's just factually true. If we have got to defend 13 in the final over, and Rabard is bowling, and they're basically all out, you've got to win that game. Like if you have got to win that game. So we should have won that game without a doubt. Then the no balls. Everybody bowls no balls, even Rabard bowls no balls. But the timing of the no balls was excruciating. Absolutely excruciating. Then it's the super over. And I don't actually know. This is another incident where Afghanistan lost the game. The last ball of the super over, it's down to final leg. No, that's not. It's hit down to final leg. They sprint for the one, and as they get the one, final leg picks the ball up. They don't go for two. What is the worst that can happen for going for two? They get run out, and it's still 17.
Because Tim, teams in super overs who scored 17 runs should be winning.
There's no guilt. There's no punishment for not taking the two. It was absolutely astonishing. The throw comes in, not very good. Cock fumbles it. They would have absolutely made the two. And probably would have won it from there. Second super over. It's I miss normal time. They go for the two, which 2 of 3 balls, they go for the two. I have no issue with going with the two whatsoever. It was the easiest two in the world. Except number 11 did not run that second run. And he did not dive again. So those are 2 instances where we should have lost the game. However, we should have still won it in normal time. It was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
So what you're saying is,
not
before you continue, what you're saying is Afghanistan. So what you're saying is that game was us handing over the choking baton to Afghanistan, effectively.
Absolutely.
It was us saying,
we're
no longer chokers. You guys are the chokers.
Yeah. Our moment was in the real time game. That was our moment to win the game, and we said, you know what? No. We wanted to take it tight, and we had it to them, and we had it to them, and we had it to them, and we had it to them. We bought Maharaj at the second super over. The only smart thing that happened for me from the final over of normal time and the second over was Maharaj going wide. That was the only time when I thought somebody's actually thinking, because everything in the slot is going out of the ground. It doesn't matter what pace it is, it's going. So at least there was some final thought from the hierarchy within that team. You're right. A win is a win, and the way they've got over the line will be massive, because we have a history of not getting over those line in the situation, and then subsequently losing to New Zealand, and then we're out. We have a long history of that. So the positives are we got over the line, a win is a win, and the manner of where we got over the line. The other question I have is, why in the super over are we batting Stubbs and Miller? Why are we not batting with Rickleton and de Kock and Markram? I could not understand it. It
Power
drove
hitting,
me
Tim.
mad.
Power hitting.
Miller takes ages. At 36 or 37, whatever it is, Miller takes ages to power hit these days. Ages. The only reason we won that game was Tristan Stubbs. Nobody else within the batting was Tristan Stubbs' 6 of that last ball. That is the only, and Maharaj's intelligence at the end of the second over.
I have a sneaky feeling
Shooks was like, made no sense to me whatsoever.
I have a sneaky feeling Shooks went to Stubbs and was like, look, you got one in this game. Do you want to go out there and, make amends? And he did. But look, it's players for big moments. And I think our top order, the guys in there, Markram, Quinton, and so Quinton's one is largely because he kept. That's the only reason why I was like, I understand why he's not.
It's T20 cricket. We're not playing a test match.
I understand. I understand. But so from an emotional perspective, right? I don't want Aiden out there. I really don't. In the Super Over. I'm sorry. I think he's too. But he lacks invention.
But the two keepers.
Right.
Yeah.
I also feel that Quinny gets found out if you bowl it in a certain area. And also I think Quinny can get a little bit too emotional. That's my thing. And so I was like, okay, cool. But I wanted Quinny out there, right? Then I was like, oh, it's a right-left combination. Fine. So right-handed batters, you've got Stubbs, Markram, and Brevis. So if you had to rank your right-handed batters, it's Brevis, it's Stubbs, it's Markram. Right? Fine. Left-handed batters, it's Quinton, Rickleton, and thing, and we went Miller first. But I think there's another thing for responsibility, and Miller kind of needs to step up as the elder statesman and not necessarily rely on a Ricks and put that much pressure on a Ricks. They all acted cool after the game, but in the cauldron, I get Ricks. I just needed somebody who had the ability to tee off, and Ricks is our top 3 is very orthodox. Let me say that. 4 to 6, unorthodox, right? And I'd rather have the unorthodox guys out there than the guys who won't lap it for 6, won't try all this other stuff. And I just kind of felt like we needed power hitters, and 4, 5, and 6 are our power hitters. But I looked at it, and I think from a batting perspective, I'm comfortable. I'm okay. Yes, we kind of lost momentum in the final 10 overs. I'm okay with that. But from a bowling perspective, Tim, especially the fast bowling, Lungi brought it back from his start.
Lungi was superb.
However, there was no control. It's like they had no plan. So it's like they couldn't find the spot. What makes Gachi so great is that he puts it on a spot 10 times out of 10. It's like KG couldn't find it, right? Marco is showing us signs of the scared Marco in the World Cup final, right? And that's a worry. And then you look at the bench and you're like, oh, snap. The only other person I can bring in here is Corbin Bosch. But Marco is so great as a left-arm seamer, and we don't want to lose that skill set, but I feel like somebody needs to just shake it. That's me. Because we bowled with zero control. And then George Linder, and I think it was just a case of, I think he also just couldn't find his length. It was just too full. It was too short. It felt like a half tracker. And I understand he's trying to get the ball to rip and spin. But dude, in the power play, wicket to wicket, block hole, just, that's what we want. So, and it was at 1 in the afternoon, so there's no due to blame. So I'm really, really worried about our bowling. But I'm happy that situationally we managed to get ourselves out. And shout out to Werner, because he's been complaining about the no ball pandemic. It is a pandemic. It should be treated like COVID. And it nearly came to hurt us in a very crucial game. Because if you lose to Afghanistan, you might as well just write your ticket home. You would have had to beat New Zealand on Valentine's Day. And then you go then you have a 3-way tie at the top. And it's net run rate, and we didn't blow away Canada, right? So that was the thing. But A win's a win, a very good win. I think this win will galvanize the team. They needed to be scared. Other countries were scared by associate nations. I nearly said the M word. It's associate nations. And the rest of us were scared by Afghanistan. So I'm glad we handed over the chokers tag to Afghanistan. Congratulations. All the best with that. It's going to be tough because you should be making World Cup semifinals. But yeah, we've moved on. So really happy about that. Looking forward to the New Zealand game. Any changes for the New Zealand game? Well, we're in the same stadium, by the way.
It's the same stadium.
Yes, first 3 games I'm at about.
Yeah, I probably would. I probably would, because I think New Zealand, that New Zealand setup would like to line up George, because of his George at the moment is bowling nice drifted loopy stuff, and I think if he does that, the New Zealanders are going to like it.
So the difference between
and Dow Mitchell's will just tee off.
Yeah, the difference between him and Kesh is that Kesh is bowling slightly slower than George. Kesh has this touch for pace. He has this feel for pace off of wickets, and it shows in the numbers, right? 6.75 economy rate, 4 overs, 1 wicket. And that's the slight difference. And I think I don't know if George can do that, and it's very hard to, but it's that. It's just kind of finding that feel. And so I wouldn't drop him. I'd want him to, adapt. This team needs to adapt in times of crisis, and they did against Afghanistan. I think this 11 is good enough to win. Is it George? Is it Anwar? Is it Corbin?
I wouldn't be surprised if Corbin plays the next game. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if Corbin comes in for George for the next game. I think he's going to look at that as a whole and go, we need a middle over strangulation. And who's likely to do that? Corbin. That's it's a strange thing to say, but I genuinely think he'll have more chance to do that than George at the moment.
So the next game for the Proteas is against New Zealand on Valentine's Day. Hopefully it's not a Valentine's Day massacre. But it is at 3:30 on Valentine's Day. So please do plan your dinners accordingly. What I've realized is the games end around 7. So you can make your way to dinner post 7. So 8 p.m. Yeah, Protea shirts are not allowed on Valentine's Day, guys, even if it's a pink one. I've tested it. It's a no-no. You might end up alone after that game. Anyway, another beautiful thing that happened was the Proteas Women playing in a 3-match T20 and ODI series against Pakistan. Kayla Reineke was the star of the first game. They played in Botch. South Africa women bowled well to start off with. I was about to say it's one of those situations where one of those few times where the bowlers actually win the game for the Proteas women, because over the recent year and a half, it's been the batters who've been keeping us in games. And there were a couple of things I was happy with, and those are the things we're going to talk about. And I didn't like the whole Fatima Sana 90 runs at the back end, but very happy with Sunay Lees as an off spinner. Loved that. Loved Kayla Reineke as the preeminent off spinner. We kind of figure out we've got a person who's might be a Chloe Tryon replacement, but really, really awesome debut from her. And then Aya Hlubi. Aya Hlubi for me was the story for the bowlers. I loved how she bowled. She bowled 110 plus, 112, 114 Ks. That's what we're looking for. That's the type of fast bowling we're looking for. She looks a lot more accurate, and pace, and it helped. It restricted Pakistan to the Pakistan women were they were 6 for 64, right? And it was all Aya. It was Aya and Hlubi, and she really bowled really well. And it's an improvement from what the last time we saw her. So I was really happy. Pace was up, and that's what I'm asking for. Like, if you can bowl upwards of 110 kilometers per hour, you need to be in this team, right? If you can get to 120, that's even better. But only a few people can do that in world cricket. So That's the thing. So Aya's really good, but what a debut from Kayla Renica. Yes, Laura scored runs. She scored a 61. Sinelu scored 32. I like Laura at 3 now. It's kind of like showing that we've got a little bit of depth and a little bit of creativity. But I know Simon said well, this was the best debut ever in Proteas history. It's not. But it sure was good to watch a former captain of the SA Under-19 step into this team and show that she belonged. And that's all that thing was. Kayla Renica, you belong on this side. And it kind of also begs the question around, we're talking about Danae coming back, and we understand why Danae's back, but there's a youngster there that needed an opportunity. She finally got it and she grabbed it. And that was a really great thing. Like, it's one thing I'd like to applaud Mandla for. It's awesome. She did really, really well, Tim.
Absolutely. We've been saying for some time on this podcast, you look into our archives, there are several players outside that are doing the business. It's not true that you have to keep picking the same team. There are players that are outside, either in the Hollywood Bets competitions or at the women's and the 19 sides, that are knocking the door down, that are saying, pick me. I am ready to take the next step. This is huge for her. This is huge for Carolyn. And it's huge for the rest of the 19 squad, because she's not the only one that we think that should at least be given a chance at this level. We talk about BMT. We talk about big match temperament. That was serious big match temperament from Kayla. It was incredibly tense towards the end. And the way that she managed it was absolutely superb. It was a sort of innings of somebody who's been playing for 2 or 3 years at the highest level. She just seamlessly walks into that side and looks the part. Like you said, she genuinely looks the part. Both with bat and ball. More impressive, obviously, with the bat in game 1, but she's got a lot of games ahead of her, I think, under the Proteas flag. She really, really is. And it's really, really good to see somebody not only just getting the winning runs, but being trusted to take over from Dirksen, who is the more experienced, and say, this is the moment, I'm taking over. It was almost like she was saying, I'm the senior one now. Not in terms of age, obviously, but it was hugely, hugely impressive. I'm the first to admit that actually, once it got down to the last 10 balls, I thought, yeah, I'm not sure. Pakistan are doing really well in restricting us here. But it was huge. It was fantastic. Really, really good. And it's really good to see the team come back. Because as you say, they took it away from us in their innings after our good start. The way that we came back and took control was hugely impressive.
Yeah, no, it was, and I'm getting very excited for this team. I think it is an opportunity, and the way it's coming together with the squad, having Danae as a very crucial middle order hitter in there. Obviously, Marzan coming into the side is going to add a lot more strength. And then you've got Ayanda Thubi and Ayabonga Kaka. So you kind of are building a strong team that also is strong from a bowling perspective, right? If Chloe's not playing, Kayla Renica. If Nadine's not playing, Nadine wasn't even playing. Kayla Renica's there. Annery Dirksen is doing a good job. So I kind of feel like, we were maybe a bit too harsh to judge Mandla up front, but we can see what you're building, Mandla. And we're really excited. They play Pakistan tomorrow in Benoni, and then on Monday evening in Benoni in the T20s. And then you got the 3 ODIs. There's the Black ODI in Durban, and a few more, I think some in the Eastern Cape, and one is in Centurion. So I'm really, really excited for the Proteas Women. It's a victory Thursday. They did a really great job, and tomorrow they play again. So if you're in the Benoni area, please go and support. Actually, you should do that and go and watch that game. Okay, Now let's move over to even what's an exciting podcast today. It's we've got wins, we've got the longest T20 in the history, we've got a near super over, we had a double super over in the men's, and then now we've got the end of the 4-day series, and it's culminating in these next few hours. We're recording at like 3 p.m. on a Thursday, and by the time you watch this, you'll know who's in the final. And so currently, from a results perspective, and I'm going to go through those results for you. The Lions smashed the Tuskers at the Wanderers. Vian Mulder took 7 of 6 at one stage in that game. The Tuskers were bowled out for 63. Mulder 7 of 6. And obviously, there's nothing to write home about there from a Tuskers batting perspective. Then the Lions scored 558 for 5 to get full maximum batting points. They got all the bowling points. They needed maximum batting points, and they got them. 115 by Dom Hendricks. You had a 98 from Zubair Hamza, an 89 from Wandile Makwetu, 115 from Vian Mulder, and 101 from Connor Estes. And I don't know what pitch they used at the Wanderers, but they need to roll that out a lot more. 1 wicket each for Tupavulan, Abrahams, Whitehead, Mokhakane, and Norfolk. And then in the second innings, the Tuskers got bowled out for 225. There was a 50 for Sean Gilson and 5 wickets for Vian Mulder, which he makes 12 in the match. Wow. 3 wickets for Bjorn Fortuin, which means 4, and Ngaba Peter taking 2 as well. A spinning wicket at the Wanderers, kind of getting them go through there. And then the other game that ended was Western Province ended today against the Titans. The Titans winning by 9 wickets in that game. Province scored 241 in their first innings. There was a 40 for Daniel Smith opening the batting, 35 for Van Heerden, and 39 for Kyle Verreynne. 3 wickets for Duan Jansen, 3 wickets for Junior Dala for the Titans in that first innings. Second innings for the first innings for the Titans, they scored 306. It was a 90 for Rivaldo Munsami, who had a very bad SA20, but it's good to see that he's back in form. Luandres Pretorius scored a 56, and Simon Harmer 41. And I think that 41 is really important for them. 4 wickets for Dane Patterson, 2 wickets each for Hendricks and Bongwana. Second innings for the Western Province, they only scored 228. It was Josh Van Heerden on 48 and Kyle Verreynne on 45. Carl Simmons coming in with a 72 there. 5 wickets for Duan Jansen, 3 for Simon Harmer, and it left the Titans only needing 164, and they got there with Sinukwane scoring 86 and Neil Brunt scoring 65. Now, we're updating the next game that's still live and happening. It's still in progress. The Warriors are playing the Dolphins. Dolphins scored 250. The Warriors scored 380 to start off with. 113 for Mutusami and 94 for Jordan Harman. 86 for Josh King. 3 wickets for Ngobani Mokwena. 5 for Tristan Lewis for the Dolphins and 2 for Bryce Parsons. In the first innings for the Dolphins, 52 for Slade van Staden, Hannaful Yoon 69, and Gideon Peters took 5 wickets in that game. Mohamed Manak also 2 wickets there for the Warriors. In the second innings for the Warriors, they got to 237 for 5 declared. They needed a win. They need to win this game. So it had to be a sporty declaration. 30 for Mudiri Diteko, but we've got 91 for Matthew Britsky and 84 for Josh King. So back-to-back half centuries for King. And Ethan Bosch taking 4 wickets there. And currently the Dolphins need to get to 365 to win. They need 60 runs to go with 5 wickets in hand. Ducholis, Pillay, 111. Slade van Staden, 61. Not out right now is Kai Zondo on 66. And Ethan Bosch on 27. So here's the thing. The Lions, with their win, got into the final of the 4-day series. But everybody but the Dolphins had a chance to, and the Rocks had a chance to make it into the final. Western Province lost out because the Titans beat them. And I think the Titans also didn't have a chance. And then it was now down to Northwest Dragons and the Warriors as to who is going to be the second spot. If the Warriors won, the Warriors would host the final. If they didn't win and they drew the match, the Lions would host the final at the Wanderers. And if the Dolphins beat the Warriors, all the Dragons need to do is win. But I think the Dragons game might end up in a draw, which also would be very
It's done. Yeah,
it's done.
Unfortunately,
it's done. Okay,
it's done. No. What I mean
cool.
is who's going to play the final is done.
It's okay. So it's the Warriors. So the game in Paul is drawn.
Yeah, well, it's going to be, isn't it? It's going to be. So let me just go back. I'm just going to go back now.
So I just want to go through the scorecard there.
So the ball out to 120 without loss. Northwest are not going to win that. They're 120 without loss. They need another 200 to win. Northwest are not going to win that. I'm calling it now. Unless they lose 10 wickets in like 2 hours.
Yeah. So that Rocks game right now, they're 120 without loss. The Dragons were batting first in the first innings. Mpho scored 74, Mikael Prince 64, Deon Forrester 123. He was selected for the PSL. Jade de Klerk also scored a 47. They got to 434. In reply, wickets wise, 5 wickets for Aviram Gijima. He bowled really well in that first innings. Boland then came through with 416, 77 for Blade Capel, Lehan Butter 139, Clyde Reeves 14, 66, and it was 6 wickets for Caleb Seleka, just spinner's paradise essentially after the SA20, and Fryer with 2 wickets as well for the Dragons. The Dragons in reply getting 304 for 9 declared. Mpho with a 90, Ruben Herman 101 in that innings. 4 wickets from Gijima that gets him to 9 in the match, and Sean van Berg 2, Imran Manak 3. Just spinner's paradise here. And in the final innings, Boland 120 not out, Blade Capel at 55, Gavin Kaplan 61. So it doesn't look like the Dragons are going to win, but the Dragons are going to draw. Tim, do you know what happens if the Dragons draw and the Warriors lose?
The Warriors already have 112 points. So if the Dragons draw, they get to 111. Whatever happens, unless the Northwest win, they will finish below the Warriors.
So we can call it here.
They have to win.
So we can call it here. Based on the state of the games with about an hour and a half to go, tea's about to start in these games, and you still have like 2.5 hours left of cricket. The Dolphins most likely will win, which means the Warriors will be driving up to Johannesburg to have a 4-day series final against the Lions. How all of these other teams allowed this to happen, that's on you. Because this was the season where you had to take the Lions, but the Warriors come up for their second final in this tournament. So really, really great. Some really great performances across from everybody. Just wanted to go through. We had a current 4-day situation. Let's see. Yeah, so this was before this game. So that's now no longer relevant. But the Lions coming from third to usurp the Warriors is a wild thing. And so, yeah, well done to everyone. Well done to the Lions. I'm happy, very happy. Another final for Russell Domingo. And yeah, the Warriors are a surprisingly good team this year. Robbie P's got them humming and they're doing really well. So, yeah, but Tim, thoughts on this round and any of the standout performances that you saw?
Yeah, as you say, this was the last 2 rounds, actually. The last 2 rounds, because the last round, the Warriors had Lions 96 for 6, and they allowed the Lions to score over 300 and subsequently draw the game. That was the moment where you weren't going to have a Lions final. That was the moment. Warriors had their chance and they didn't take it. In terms of this particular round, you can't really look beyond. I know the Tuskers are having a tough time. I know they are. They really are. I thought they'd be much more competitive overall than they have been, which is a real shame for the competition. But you can't look beyond Mulder's numbers. They are just incredible. And rather amusingly, his 12 for 46 at the match is not the best by-lines player in the history.
Who is it?
All the hard work, and he's still number one.
But he doesn't want to be number one, Tim. You know this about VM.
No, that's
right?
true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna say you can't really look beyond those particular numbers. I'm glad Proteas is scored runs to Titans. From a neutral perspective, I didn't want us to lose, but it was nice to see that the run tray is still consistent in terms of things when it comes back to domestic cricket. I'd say that even though they made the final, I'd say this is a disappointing performance. 2 rounds really for the Warriors. We've said some time now that they're good, they're competitive, but when it comes down to it, do they actually win? Yes, they won last season, which that should give them some. They won a trophy last season. That should give them some confidence. But the last 2 rounds should be a warning sign for them going into that final. Not getting it over the line against the Lions. And Dolphins have been up and down this season. And I don't think the Warriors have been particularly good. Happy for Matthew Boast, though. Matthew Boast is still doing good stuff, which is great.
Yeah. Cool. Just need to move. Just hold on.
No worries.
Cool. Cool. Yeah.
So that it's going to be an interesting final. I'll keep talking until you find it. It's going to be an interesting final between the two. I just hope that Bjorn doesn't get your eyes out of fire yet again, because in that game last week, he was the man that got you out of fire. 96 for 6, and he goes and scores 100. I like the dude, but I'd like somebody else to win the 4-day competition when it comes down to it. And
I think one.
So what's it?
Look, I think it's a very young Warriors team that has tasted victory in the T20. The De Villiers, the the Jordan Hammans, the Bredskis, who are on the cusp of the Proteas, going up against a team that has fully fledged Proteas, that has guys who played for the Proteas before, guys who know how to win and have won this competition before. It is an extra day, and so it's going to be quite interesting to see how this Warriors team does it against a team that they couldn't beat 2 weeks ago. So, I'm just excited for that, and I think they've got something there. Gideon Peters is in a purple patch. He's fit. He's bowling fast, and you're hoping that's going to work its way out. And then the last thing is we had a Division 2 final that ended up in a damn squib. I feel sorry for Coach Jeff, but yeah, his team was on a hiding to nothing by the time that game ended. It was rain and the game was drawn as a final, and because of that, if it's a draw, the team that finished first won the tournament. And so well done to the Knights, well done to Dane Pete, Malusi Saboto, that Knights side on winning their second trophy of the season. But great news coming out of Easterns. I think Jeff has got a good team, and you can see it. And now we just look to the one-day cup. So, yeah, I know Gian Kluter scored a double century, but it's just horrible that the game ended like that.
Yeah, it's a shame. But I think if we look over the season, the Knights were the best team by considerable distance. They were really, really well. I mean, I don't think Dane Pete's influence can be understated. I think previously when he wasn't there, because of the players, they were thereabouts. But since he's been there, there's been a determination, not just to win, but the manner of their wins has been impressive. It's to dominate the opposition, and they have been in Division 2 the best team by a considerable distance.
And they've been promoted.
Huge plaudits for that.
Yeah, and they've been promoted. I think it's a good thing. They're happening in Bloem Vegas. One last thing. Let's go to upcoming fixtures, and just go through that before we close out. We've got obviously Proteas Women's games. We've got Proteas Men's games, and we had the 4-day division. This was for Monday. Apologies, we didn't go on Monday because things were falling apart on my side. So that's done. But we've got a 4-day series final next week up here. Do you know what day it is, Tim?
Wednesday. Wednesday's the 4-day
starting on
final.
Wednesday. 5 days at the Wanderers. And then we still have World Cup matches. Obviously, we've gone through Canada on Monday, Afghanistan on thingy. Now we've got New Zealand on Saturday. And then I think next week, Monday or Tuesday, we play, or sometime in the middle of next week, we play the UAE. Is it the UAE? Yes, it is the UAE. Yes. And then from the Proteas Women, you've got the T20 on Friday in Benoni. And you've also got another T20, not in Botch, but in Benoni on the Monday, next week, Monday. So please do watch out for that. So we still have a lot of those games. And then after that, we then move to the One-Day Cup, which is going to be exciting, especially from a relegation perspective. The relegation standings have changed after this week. Massive win for the Titans. And the Tuskers effectively now, with this loss, are putting themselves at relegation's door. But we'll come back up on Monday with the proper permutations around that, because I think even the Northwest, with this one having finished in third, give themselves enough points to get out. The teams that you're worried about are Western Province and the Tuskers.
Just to put it into perspective, before this round of 4-day fixtures, the Tuskers needed to finish 4th and the Titans last in the One-Day Cup for the Titans to be relegated. Those before this week's fixtures, that's just got a whole lot harder, I suspect. I suspect now that the Tuskers, if they want to survive, they've got to finish 3rd in the One-Day Cup and have the Titans finish last. But we will go into those permutations on Monday. We'll have all of those exact permutations, exactly what teams need to do going into the last domestic competition of the season. So that's it. Well done to the Proteas. Well done to the Proteas Women. It's been a victory Thursday here at the South African Cricket Podcast. Remember, please do follow us on X at SA Cricket Pod. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please do follow there. Been an awesome week to be a South African. And then our domestic cricket steps up. The 4-day series, just doing what it's doing. We know we've got Hollywood bets, and there were some great games this weekend, and they're continuing. Well done to the Lions for taking the games to Soweto, Dobsonville Oval. That is a really big plus. I'd love to see more of our men go there and have more games there being played. But yeah, it's been a great week to be South Africa. Also, CSA, whoever is doing your marketing, well done. Red Bull last week, and now Ola Ice Cream. Okay, you see what winning does. That's what happens. So we just need it in domestic cricket. Keep pushing it down. But outside of that, for myself and Tim, it's goodbye. Until Monday, and lesale. Kakahiso.